Welcome to the A-List. I'm Lukas. My guest on the program is the Supervisory Special Agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also known as the ATF. The ATF is a bureau within the Department of Justice. My guest supervises special agents and investigative analysts that enforce and investigate federal crime violations. Please welcome Mr. Ray Jones. What criminal violations go through the ATF?
Well, we enforce a variety of federal statutes. One of our main laws that we enforce and that what we're known for, we enforce the federal firearms statutes, but we're also tasked with enforcing tobacco laws and arson and explosive laws. Within those three categories, there's a wide variety of things that kind of fall into that. In working those categories, you will sometimes fall into gang investigations, some limited narcotics investigations, and major drug trafficking cartels, money laundering, and things of that nature.
What is major tobacco trafficking?
Tobacco trafficking, of course, cigarettes are highly taxed, especially in our area here. So those cases involve large volumes of cigarettes and tobacco products that are untaxed and not stamped. And a lot of times organizations that traffic large quantities of that, they're making a huge illicit profit, and those illicit gains are usually used for other illicit activity, whether it be narcotics trafficking or financing of some underground organizations that are biased to the United States.
All right, can you explain the firearm statutes?
Sure, firearm statutes. You know, everyone has a First Amendment right to own the firearms. There are prohibited persons with firearms. If you have a felony conviction, you're prohibited from having a firearm. The laws involve firearms that travel. One of the statutes precursors is that if the firearm travels in interstate commerce, so a firearm manufactured in Indiana that has traveled from Indiana and winds up in the hand of a criminal in Illinois has traveled in interstate commerce, which meets one of the criteria for it being an illegal firearm. Those are the basic statutes there. So, you know, if a person has a conviction, a person that is under indictment for a domestic dispute and so forth, they're prohibited from owning firearms. Then you get folks that have multiple felony convictions. Those statutes multiply, the penalties multiply, and what they can be exposed to. We also have folks that we refer to as straw purchasers, and those are persons that knowingly purchase firearms for prohibited persons. Sometimes it's a one-time situation that somebody purchases, but oftentimes we uncover trafficking organizations where there's a network of people that have been recruited to purchase firearms and get them into the hands of prohibited persons, and sometimes wind up in the hands of drug trafficking cartels and sometimes your street gangs that wreak havoc in the various communities throughout the United States. Then there's also fully automatic weapons, which are commonly referred to as machine guns. Those are illegal to have. It's actually a tax statute. Years ago, you could register that, pay the tax on it, and you would be kept in a separate database. You have an underground network of folks out here that will convert semi-automatic firearms to fully automatic. Those are prohibited. Silencers are prohibited, things of that nature. Those investigations often tend to lead to other crimes, and sometimes organizations that are involved in a lot of different illicit activities.
All right, can you explain the federal explosive statutes?
Same thing with that. There are certain explosives that have to be registered. You have to be licensed to handle and or transport those. Where ATF comes into play with that, is when those explosives are used in a crime, used to blow up a building or to blow up a person. That's a crime scene that we would respond to. We have experts that are trained in what we call cause and origin. So as far as with arson and explosives, they will take that scene and really put it together piece by piece to try to find out what type of explosive materials were used, what type of detonators and things of that nature were used to work up that case on the individual that may have been responsible for those activities.
Can you explain the federal arson statutes?
Pretty much with the federal arson statutes, when we become involved with that, it's usually an arson for profit. Folks usually will commit an arson for profit to reap the insurance benefits. There are other times when persons will commit arson to harm an individual or a group that they have some type of dispute with. Years back, we had a number of church arsons in the South that we uncovered, that there was a group that was purposely setting these churches afire. Again, we have specialists, we have certified fire investigators, and we are recognized as one of the premier arson and explosives investigative agencies throughout the countries. And with some of the smaller departments, the suburban departments like in Chicago, Illinois, versus the Chicago Police Department, who has a very well-trained arson, explosives, and bomb technician squad, suburban departments will call out what's called our national response team, which is recognized worldwide. We will go out to major fires, and those experts will piece everything back together. We'll kind of determine what accelerants were, the location that fire was started, and we go out all over the world to assist state and local police departments. More recently in your area here, there was a huge factory fire about 3 weeks ago in the Joliet area that was suspicious in the speed in which the factory burned down, the heat, how hot the fire was so quickly. So those are some flags that make you suspicious that it may have been purposely set as an arson. So our national response team stayed on the scene a week, interviewing employees, interviewing those that may have seen the fire, reviewing film of the fire, interviewing the fire department that first responded. There were 4 different local fire departments that responded to try to piece that scene back together. Then they will do their reports and make a determination as to whether that was intentional or an accidental fire based on their experience of what they do. And this is what these guys focus on. It's a specialty.
What's by far the worst incident you've ever been called to?
There was a crash about 12 years ago, a TWA plane crash, and we were called to assist that. I was in our special ops unit and used some of our specialized equipment on Marichis Island in New York. And when I got there, makeshift tent with body bags and all the damage from the plane and so forth, that sticks out vividly in my mind. It was just a very tragic situation at that time. And we didn't know if it was just a natural accident or if it was some type of terrorist activity or whatever. So we had to go through the preliminary steps of securing the crime scene or the accident scene to make a determination as to what was the cause of that crash.
What does a typical day in the ATF consist of?
Well, in my position when I was a street agent working and as of now supervising street agents, there's really no typical day. Being in management, I have quite a bit of paperwork that has to be done. You'll have agents come in that have cases that they're developing, so you'll have to sit with them and counsel them on their investigations. And sometimes you need to meet with the assistant United States attorneys to make sure that the prosecutorial end is in tune with what the agents are doing. So you could go in one day, planning to do some paperwork that needs to be done, but something comes up and the agents have to go out on an undercover operation or have to respond to a phone call of an incident. But that's what makes the job interesting to me, at least, and most of the agents that work the job. There's a wide variety to the work we do. It's not mundane, and some days you go in and you plan to work an 8-hour day and you can do that, but you may go in on any given day and you may be out 15 hours or you may be called out to an overnight investigation. So it kind of varies, but typically you're going to do your paperwork in a management position. As an agent, you're going to come in and work your cases that you have planned to work, and meet with attorneys and so forth, meet with witnesses and informants and so forth. But you may be called off to a major incident or be called off to help another agent who has a case that's more pressing or has some situations that come up that require the assistance of the other agents in the group.
All right, well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for watching the A-List. My name is Ryan Lukas, and my guest is Mr. Raynard.
Not a problem, my pleasure.